Welcome everyone to Top's Daily Grind. We've graduated to a whole new level.
Should we just stay here awkwardly?
That's the worst idea.
Everybody said bring an expert, and we brought an expert.
You guys got a new intro?
No, we're not doing the podcast no more.
Yeah, you all started out really strong, and then it derailed really quick. I'm like,
This is going to be the last time you hear this.
No, yeah. All right, everybody, welcome to Top's Daily Grind. This is episode number 152. Right?
Yeah.
Okay, 152. We're here with Helm Hunts and McMurry Hand Forged.
What's her name? So people
This is Clint and Justin, but nobody can see who I'm actually pointing to. So
Yeah.
I'm Justin.
I'm Clint.
yes,
In case you couldn't guess, Clint
I would have
Helm,
totally said
Justin
it backwards.
McMurray. I'm Jesus.
Jesus is behind the camera. John is sitting on my lap.
Craig, can you go that way just a tiny bit? Perfect.
yes, I can. No, I'm good.
Gonna snuggle.
Thank you though.
Or John, can you come move this a little bit this way? And John can talk too.
Hello.
Yeah.
Great,
John's way behind the scenes.
wonderful.
Yeah.
On this one.
Zoom out a little bit. And then move it this way. Okay. Anyway.
So welcome.
What's different on there?
I guess the point of us hanging out today was actually to eat. Clint brought some duck meat, and we had some tacos. And the pans that we used to cook said duck meat were from Justin's forge.
Yep.
And so we had a good time, and now we're going to do a podcast.
When you
Maybe
guys made the
seeing
knives.
this-
Yes, and we used our knives, of
Yeah,
course.
like forget the knives, yeah.
I mean, it seemed like, you know what? I guess I had just assumed people would understand that, but, you know.
Let me just throw this in there before we start. Craig burned the shit out of one of the pens.
Is the pan okay?
The pan's fine.
Okay.
Hey,
Those pans are like
right.
indestructible.
You're
So,
not
yeah.
gonna hurt the pan.
Oh, yeah.
It's gonna take a whole lot more than that.
Yeah,
to
so
hurt
fuck
the
you
pan.
guys.
I showed up at the right time because you guys were like already done and the food was ready.
Ready.
I
So
thought
I
you were
was
sitting
like-
in your truck, like just waiting for it to be
I'm
done.
like peeking around the corner, like done yet? Done yet? Okay.
He had
here
the
we
window
go.
down. He was just smelling. Yeah, it smells done.
He's like, oh, yeah. Oh, I'm here now. Like, he'd been sitting up there for 10 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah. Clint told me you guys were gonna get started at like 2 something, and I was elbows deep in the shop, and my wife came home from a doctor's appointment and was like, "You can go now," because I had to stay home. My kids were taking a nap, so I wasn't really watching them per se. I was just on the premises while they were asleep, you know. And she comes in, scares the living daylights out of me. "You're late." Oh crap! And then it was showing up just in time to eat some tacos and stand around with my
Yeah,
face.
we're
hanging
literally
out.
just a couple minutes done.
We had barely started eating. Yeah.
I had just dished up my taco and taken one bite when I got your text saying you were here.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect.
So yeah,
timing.
so if you guys remember, Clint's been on with us before, and but yeah, this is pretty cool to get this together, and I know we've been talking about it for a bit, and we finally made it happen.
And see, this is one of the things that I want to strive to do, is to bring companies that will mesh well together, bring them together. So where you guys make the knives, where I used your guys' knives to cut the breasts out of the ducks when I got them, and then using your knives to, process them, getting them ready for cooking, and then using his pans, where everything meshes so well. That's what I
Yeah,
want
when
to do.
Craig brought this idea up, that Justin, made pans. I'm like, pans? Here, and I don't like. And he's like, no, I think he's out of Shelley Roberts or something.
Yeah, it's Roberts.
Yeah, Roberts. So. But yeah, that was, I guess, not different because you don't pans. You don't.
It's pretty random. Yeah, I get that a lot when I tell people. People ask me what I do. I mean, obviously I'm wearing anvils, so it's pretty obvious I'm a blacksmith. But I get that a lot. They go, "Oh, you're a blacksmith? What do you make?" I make cookware, and it's like, what?
Everybody, you hear that and you think knives.
Yeah, knives or horseshoes. That's the other one.
That's my first thought when I think blacksmith is
Yeah,
horseshoes.
especially around here. Yeah.
Me being in the knife world, I think knives. That's the first thing I hear.
I can make knives, and I have made knives, but I just the grinding is just. Ugh. I get cramped up, standing in front of a 2x72. Just like, stand up and stretch my back. Oh, it's miserable. I don't like grinding.
Yeah, if you go in like in my custom shop, everything of mine is high.
Yeah.
And it's because that's how
For
I
that.
like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when you get somebody in that just doing their own thing and they're like, shit, this is high.
There's a reason.
Yep, that's.
I talk smack about grinding as if I didn't spend most of the day today grinding. So I don't know what I really got out of, but I probably grind just about as much as I did when I was making knives. Of course, I was doing like.
Is that how you started making knives or?
No, I started doing like decorative ironwork. I started a long time ago just making, how every little boy does when he starts carving. He makes pointed sticks. Like, that's what I started out. I was taking steel and making pokers and things like that when I was like 8, 9 in my parents' backyard. And then I started getting more involved in like decorative ironwork, so like interior design, things that appeal more to, like, a lot of times traditionally, or at least in the knife making scene, you got a product that appeals predominantly to men. Sure, there's some women that will jump into it, but when your primary product is like hunting knives and skinning knives, and that's a lot of men. I was kind of the opposite of that. I was doing a lot of like interior decorative stuff that appealed more to women.
Because they're the ones that are going to make the call and they're going to spend the money.
Yeah, I will say this. I honestly prefer having women as customers because women don't look at what you do and think, I could totally do that, and then judge what you do based on that.
And the price.
And the price, yeah. They're like, oh, I could do that myself. I'm not going to pay that much. I'm like, well, then do it. Go
Do
ahead.
it.
Yeah,
Have fun.
I'm not going to stop you. But women don't do that. Women see something that's pretty, and they're like, all right, here's the money, and they just buy it. And that's, I love that, because then the other thing that women do that I love as far as having them as a customer is not only do they don't balk at the price. Not that I'm terribly expensive, but they don't balk at the price. They don't balk at the process. They just see something that's pretty, and then when they're cooking with it, they're taking pictures of it too, And so it's like what men do with knives when they're out hunting and things like that.
They try to destroy them?
Well, you try to destroy them, yeah. But, they get the guy, he takes a buck, and then he takes a picture with his buck, and a lot of times, he'll be skinning it, take a picture, and there's the knife in the picture. Women do that with their cookware a lot, like with their utensils and spatulas and things like that.
So do you make utensils as well?
Yeah. So I do like traditional barbecue tools. I do tongs. I do spatulas of all kinds of different. A lot of my
like
stuff
meat
is
hooks and stuff.
Yeah, a lot of my spatulas are like single piece forgings, so the entire thing is one piece of steel from the plate all the way out to the handle. But I do also separate stainless steel plates as well that I'll rivet on. It's just style depending.
I haven't bought his spatula or tongs yet. That's why we didn't use them today. But
Yeah, we had a little nice plastic forks.
he does make forks too.
Yeah, I make forks and spoons and like butter knives and things like that. Things that I don't have to deal with heat treatment.
So do you have customers that buy, like, their whole kitchen is your stuff?
Yes.
They don't just buy like a couple pots, but they're like, no, I want the forks, I want the silverware set.
Yep.
Like, they want the whole nine.
Yeah, and that still like is mind-boggling to me. That I got people that actively collect what I make, which is wild. Now I get that more. Obviously, I get people that do that with my Vaquero line, which is my like economy line, and I have several different size skillets. I have grill basket pans. I have griddles. I have crepe pans, all kinds of stuff like that. But then on the custom line stuff, I have a lot more variety of like pan shapes and sizes, and the handles tend to be more decorative. They're decorative, traditional blacksmith style twists, or ones that look like, I have one that's really popular that looks like a pea pod. That one is huge popular, and I have people that.
Hold on. What's a pea pod?
It's the thing that holds the peas before you take them out.
Los ejotes.
I got you.
Yeah.
Or chicharros, no?
Chicharros is different. Oh, I guess you could call them that. But ejotes.
No, I know what peas are.
Oh.
I just didn't know what pea pod
it's
was.
It's the
Yeah, it's a little
cask.
shell around it.
Yeah, and it's like
Ejotes and pea.
the way I have them set up is you got the little pod, and then you got 3 little P's that are visible on there. And then on the end of it, I draw that out into a curl, and that's your hanging handle or hanging portion. And I've got people that have collected every piece that I've made with that style handle because they have one that springs to mind is I have a lady that's in Australia that has like 20 or 30, which is crazy because it's not cheap to ship to Australia.
No, it is not.
It is horrifying to ship to Australia, but she pays for the shipping, bless her heart. And yeah, she's got like 20 or 30 pieces with the sweet pea handle. And that runs the gamut from like skillets and griddles and spatulas of like 5 or 6 different lengths, you know, steak flippers, tongs, everything. And that's, yeah, I get that a lot. More on the custom side, or at least it's more noticeable, I guess, on the custom side that people are collecting. Because on my Vaquero side, yeah, it's a little less noticeable just because it's the custom line stuff. Since it's more one-off, I have more of a deep connection to every piece that I make. Like if somebody holds up a custom line piece, I can be like, I made that 2 years ago. Just from looking at it, I can tell, like, you know, the way my skills have progressed, or maybe I've changed processes. I can tell when I made something just by looking at it. With the Vaquero line, I can't do that. Like, I can't tell the difference, usually, from afar, between a Vaquero line I made last week and one that I made a year and a half ago. I can't really tell the difference, because it's so standardized, you know. Mm-hmm. But the custom line stuff is not standard. Every single pan is different, every single one. The tooling for the Vaquero line is pretty much only used for the Vaquero line, whereas my custom line stuff, it's hammer and anvil, a lot of times done probably the hard way. I mean, all of it's the hard way. You're swinging a hammer, but
and it's custom too, so
yeah, it's all individual
of it.
Pieces. But yeah, people that collect it, that's still crazy to me. It's still also crazy how many pans I've shipped, and the fact that now it's easier for me to tell you which countries I don't have cookware in than the ones that I do, which I never thought it would get to that point.
How long you been doing this?
So I went full-time making cookware 2019, I think. I'd been doing it on the side for a number of years. And the cookware thing kind of caught me by surprise because that wasn't initially the game, right? I'd always been doing, you know, beating black and red metal as long as I can remember, but it was always, you know, making this, doing this, like keychains and dumb stuff like that. And then I started getting into decorative ironwork, and then that was more involved, and that started kind of like developing my style, I guess you could say, because previously making keychains, it's like you're not really making something that's super individual, you know, usually. But with the decorative stuff, I started developing my style. But I started doing cookware in 2015 or 2016, and making money off of it because I had been doing. I built a couple of skillets for family and, you know, me and things like that. But I posted them on Etsy at the behest of my mom. My mom was like, "These are beautiful. You should post these on Etsy." Okay. And Etsy's awful. If you're trying to sell something as a small artist, don't use Etsy. They're terrible. But I started posting them, and people started buying them. And then the thing that really sticks out in my mind is Flavor God seasonings. He just secretly bought a bunch of my pans, and then my pans started showing up in his videos. And then it was crazy because he's got like millions of followers across all the different platforms. And that's when it...
John, write this down. Send him some fucking knives.
Like, seriously, dude. Chris Wallace at Flavor God, he's a cool guy because he's the epitome of like this, which is starting something small and building an empire by yourself. I mean, mine's an empire of dirt, but building something huge with literally nothing. The dude started in his garage, and now he's got millions of followers. He's got a plant in Getting close there. Settle down, Beavis.
No,
That cable roped on my leg.
I'm trying not to step on the cord.
So he secretly just bought some of my stuff. I didn't
Call me
realize
after
who
this.
it was.
Oh, jeez.
I didn't realize who he was. I would have just sent him the pants. Like, if I knew it was him, I'd have been like, dude, you don't have to buy this from me. You could have just called me and I would send it to you as like promotional stuff. But no, he was like straight up, a stand-up guy. He was like, no, I don't do that. I'm going to buy it from you. And so he bought it. And like I said, it started showing up in his videos. And then it just went crazy. And so then we went from me fooling around in my garage, when I was living in Modesto, California, and I was working out of my garage as a part-time after my real job. My real job was I was a plant manager at an energy company, and that was like soul-sucking awfulness. And so I was doing that full-time, and then I was also building pans in my garage. And then at a certain point, I started getting too big for the garage, and my father-in-law had a barn on his property. It was like, and barn makes it sound like dirt floor. No, it was like finished out. It was
Nice,
beautiful.
yeah.
And he was like, why don't you just move in here? And I'm like, okay. So I did. I moved in there, and I worked out of there for like maybe 6 months before the county came and said, no, you can't do this, and kicked me out of
You
there.
were where? Where was this?
This is Modesto, California.
Yeah.
Yeah, the county came in and was like, you're making too much money out of this place. And that was kind of also I didn't realize, you do your declaration of gross receipts. And I was doing that, and they came back and said, you're making too much money out of this because the zoning was wrong. And so,
Jeez.
yeah, it was a mess.
Zoning
So,
issue?
yep.
Jeez.
And so they kicked me out. And that was like, it was a mixed bag because it was awful because we didn't know what to do, because I had all these orders, and I still technically had a full-time job then. This was like the side hustle was creeping up on the primary hustle. And then when I moved into the barn, the primary hustle was making less money than the side hustle. And I didn't quite realize that until they kicked me out of that barn.
They didn't give you like a time limit to get out?
They did, but it was the time limit was set from the first declaration of gross receipts that I gave them when we moved into the barn.
Oh,
So it was like, by the time they told me you need to GTFO,
it was already.
yeah, I was always
Oh,
like,
sure.
I was already like, shoot, what do we do? So then it was a scramble, and we found an industrial park that was zoned heavy industry, which is what the county said that I was. I'm not. I'm like, I'm heavy industry. Like, okay,
Sure.
yeah. I was like, I didn't know that.
Heavy,
That's-
like weight? Like these pans weigh a lot, or like?
He had a lot of steel in there.
yeah,
Jeez.
yeah. It was
Oh, that's so stupid.
dumb. But
You guys want to move your operation over there, don't you?
To California, of
Yeah,
course.
Oh yeah, it was a treat, I tell you. And the other benefit of living in California, especially in that industrial park, was getting broke into like every other day. That was awesome. I really enjoyed that.
It's an adventure.
Yeah, it was, and not
Shoot
being
him
able
in the
to
face. I'm just kidding.
not being able to do anything about it was also great too. Now, granted, the police department, they were pretty quick to try to get there, and because my shop was just south of Modesto in a town called Ceres, and Ceres Police Department, they were quick, man. When my alarm started going off and they got the call, it was like 10 minutes and they were there usually. But a lot can happen in 10 minutes.
See, but here in Yukon, we have the cops stationed here.
Yeah, they just park here at night.
They park here at night.
Yeah, you see, that's the way. That's the way to do it. At a certain point, what I had to start doing was I had an international flatbed truck that was a big-ish, kind of like a medium heavyweight truck. It was an international S1600. It had been, so to give you an idea of size, it had been a dump truck in its previous life, and then the guy that bought it from the company that using it as a dump truck, he took the dump bed off and put a flatbed on it. And so I used that to go pick up steel. So I had to start parking that up against my roll-up door. And then my back dock doors.
What were they stealing?
The thing is that you can't really steal something from a blacksmith shop because
Exactly.
everything
That's
I
exactly
have
why I'm saying that.
is super heavy. Like my primary anvil is without the stand. The stand weighs like 500 pounds. The anvil weighs 660 pounds. You're not just gonna carry that. Like, let me just put this in my pocket. That's not how it
You're not
works.
gonna grab some steel and run out with some steel. Like shit,
Yeah.
that's-
Yeah, but the thing is that it was like I don't know that these guys really knew what they were gonna get.
How many times you get broken into?
Man, we were there for
Just that. But
That
I would have got
alone.
there so
Oh,
fucking fast.
jeez.
we were there
Fuck
for 3 years, I think. I think we were there for 3 years. I gotta ask my wife, but it was a couple times a week.
Oh, jeez.
It was awful. And like they would steal
Screws. And
Hand
like,
tools and shit like that.
Yeah, like Milwaukee. I had like angle grinders, battery powered angle grinders. They'd steal those. They'd steal if I had like a drill. Like at the end of the night, I learned to take everything off of my benches and put them in the drawers so that they were out of sight, and that didn't help. they still,
they stole the drawers.
yeah, it was awful.
Just wheel the whole box out.
I know, right? It's like every time you open up for the day, you have to move in. And then when you
yeah.
close up for the night, you got to move back out. That was like what it was.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, so we finally got out of there.
When
And
did you get out of there?
it's been, 3 years now?
So you
two?
left
Yeah.
left there, came straight here.
Came straight here.
Why? Why like Roberts, Idaho? No, and I don't mean it in a bad way, but
Yeah,
but
why?
people? No.
I was like, did you not just listen to me getting broken?
no, I did. But 3 years of that shit, you should have done a lot.
Oh, man.
lot to
Oh,
the
yeah.
butt.
Yeah.
But
I think a lot of it.
people that know the area, Roberts, Idaho is not one to pick. You follow me?
Yeah, no, I get it.
That's why I say that.
That's also why we moved here. Because nobody else is. It's like a
Because
little,
nobody wants to.
Roberts is the
no, but
Modesto
Roberts is a little town.
Yeah.
That you would go Blackfoot, Pocatello, Idaho Falls.
That's why we
Boise.
moved to Roberts.
You follow me? Well, or Boise. But Boise, you're getting sort of in the city, bigger,
Maybe
You
Twin
know,
Falls.
Idaho Falls, you're getting there. But Roberts is small. And
That's-
don't get me wrong, I do a lot of rabbit hunting up there. We do a lot of shooting up there. I like Roberts.
That's why we moved there.
My sister lives up in Roberts. And
Okay.
a lot of my family, not just my sister, but a lot of cousins and stuff live in
Yeah.
Roberts.
Yeah, that was the reason we moved there because it was. It was just a
Leo's
little-
family's there.
Yeah.
I probably know your neighbor.
Yeah. Well, it was like a little podunk town. And that's the thing is I grew up in a podunk town. Right? I grew up in a town called Pleasant Grove, which is in Central Valley, California. And it's the same thing. It's like we had a sheriff's office, but it wasn't really a sheriff's office. It was like a little pit stop. It was a building.
Sheriff's office, meeting room,
Library.
library.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's what we
exactly.
have here.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
in St. Anthony, the city building is also a library.
Yeah. Our we
But
didn't have
did you
And
know
there's
the
a gym
town of Roberts
upstairs.
before?
No, so when we were looking, we had several different places in mind. I had
Oh,
some,
so you guys were sort of scoping out areas.
yeah,
and
we
houses
we
and-
scoped out Jerome,
okay.
Burley, Twin Falls, Pocatello,
Yeah, fuck those places.
which
I'm just kidding.
Pocatello, is-
Pocatello's trashy.
that's a weird place. man.
Trashy.
Don't say that, dude. I just bought a house over there
Why'd you do that?
Because
for my daughter for school.
yeah,
Oh, okay, for school.
because
Yeah.
there's a school there. Yeah.
Because it's like part of Pocatello feels like the Truman Show, and then the other part of it, right? Like
Feels
it's weird.
not so great.
It's weird. Yeah, it's weird. But we tried Pocatello, then we checked out a couple places outside of Idaho Falls, like in the Ammon area. We looked at a house in Shelley. But I think our issue, or at least my issue, was I had like pretty specific parameters. Like I needed a shop.
Yeah. So, and I was gonna say, Roberts. There's a lot of big lots out there.
Yeah,
You know,
and we
so
looked
if you
at
get it at the right time, you get nice ground out there.
Yeah, and we looked at one place that we looked at in Roberts because we had two houses that we were looking at in Roberts. One of the places that we looked had a nicer shop, and I was like,
Yeah.
"This is it."
Yeah.
Right. Like the shop was finished
I would
out.
do
It
the
was
same thing.
insulated, right, and it had 4 roll-up doors, and it was already wired for 3-phase, which was a dream. But my wife didn't like the house. Which I get it because it was one of those houses that was probably put up not long after Roberts was incorporated, right? And then in the intervening decades was added on to. So it was just like morphodite maze, like what's that? The Winchester Mystery House. It's like that where they just keep building on to stuff. And so like one thing that makes me think of is to get to the master suite, you have to walk through the kitchen into the like a living room, and then there's this another weird little room, and then the master suite.
Yeah, I almost bought a house like that.
That's weird.
So 2 years.
That's pretty common around
say
here.
3 years ago, there was a house here local, and we were gonna buy it. You know, the house outside everything looked good, but again, it was added on. I went straight to the back shop. Again, 4 big doors. They're like 12 by 14s, and then it had a big loft on the top of that shop, and I'm like, hell yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and Nana like, fuck that. You have to walk to 2 living rooms, into the bathroom, into the master bedroom.
Yeah, so it's like I give my wife flack about saying no, but I also said no. I was like, the shop is cool, but I don't think it makes up for that. Yeah. And the bedrooms were upstairs, but there was no bathroom up there. And so you had to walk downstairs and then like down a hall to get to the bathroom if you were
Climb
upstairs.
a wall.
Yeah, it was weird. And then there was an original root cellar underneath what is now the laundry room there. So you like open this hatch, and I'm like, yeah, there's like cryptids and shit down there, man. It's like, so I opened it up, and I'm like, no, we're just gonna close that. We're gonna fill this in with concrete. Like, I don't.
Yeah.
The catacombs of
Yeah.
Roberts.
My parents' house has one of those.
Yeah, we have a cellar down in our basement. But it's
Did you live there
concreted
when
in.
your parents lived in that house? Is that where you grew up?
That's where I grew up. Yeah.
Did you ever play in that?
Oh, all the time. My dad kept reloading supplies down there.
Oh, that's what he did.
So yes, I borrowed my fair share of gunpowder without asking for it. We made a lot of.
Does he listen to the
explosives and
podcast?
things like
No.
Probably not. No, I doubt
His
it.
own is ass.
Yeah, if he does,
He'll be calling you up after.
if he does, he's hiding it real well because he hasn't said a word to me about it. So
If you invite me to one of your gatherings, I'll let him know all about it.
please don't.
He'll throw him under the bus.
The wording.
Every time I run into Craig's dad, like either one of his kid's birthday party, he'll always come and talk to me. You know, I'm always, I don't cuss. I don't. But one of these days, you want to hear a podcast? Have you ever heard Top Daily Grind?
No, I'm sure my parents listen to the intro and they're like, "Yeah, we're not doing
Yeah,
this."
we're not interested.
Yep.
Wait till you hear your son, sir. Is this what you raised?
Sorry, Mom. Sorry, Dad.
Make some clips of this.
Oh shit! So let's get into it. How did you two meet? Clinton and Justin. How did you guys?
So this is kind of funny. So as I've mentioned to you guys before, I used to work at Cow Ranch, and Justin came in like daily to buy ammo, and so I was like,
Ammo and like feed store type stuff. Like I was getting chicken food because I have like 200 birds. So I was getting chicken food. I was getting.
Don't say that. You can have him at your house.
Can we come over to your place?
Well, you're gonna have to
Do you
fight.
cook those?
You're gonna have to fight my geese. That's the thing.
Done.
Yes, we'll get content with that.
Get some turkey.
John fighting geese would be
Hold
awesome.
it closer when you talk there.
Put it in your mouth.
Closer.
Yeah, no. Sorry. Thank you.
Closer.
I self-invited myself, and I don't want to go anymore. Sorry.
but anyway, Justin used to come in buy ammo all the time, and I was like, the amount that you're buying, you should just work here and get the discount. Just come in
1 day a week.
1 day a week.
That's what I did.
Then you get the discount on the ammo and your chicken feed, and it'll pay.
Then
for
you got
itself.
fired from Cow Ranch for telling them that?
No. I didn't get fired. I left, but
Because my boss is really pissed off
Yeah,
at me.
voluntarily or forced?
Yes, it's one of
Were you
those.
forced out?
We were about to say.
I left voluntarily because with our since the last time I was on here, we've had a baby, and so
What'd you do that
Oh,
for?
congratulations.
What did you do?
she was a surprise. But
It's never a surprise because you know what causes that, right?
the thing was, we found out 2 days before my
If you're
vasectomy.
surprised,
Oh, shit.
But So I stay home
Couldn't pull
with
out
the
of his
kids.
own driveway. Jeez.
When was the last time you saw my
Funny
truck
about
move?
this whole thing, his wife is sitting there right there.
Yeah, hey John, give her a mic.
Yes.
Shit, that's
Yes.
But he's right though. I couldn't pull out of my own driveway because my truck has been parked there for
What
like
do you
8
think
months.
of this conversation?
I should have gone and picked up the kids.
There's another mic right there.
He has sweet talk.
That's
It's still his fault.
Or he's gonna get an earful on the way home. I can still drive you home if you want me to.
Oh, it's okay.
That usually happens.
Yeah. It's not the first time that he's, mentioned some of the things that he says on here. I'm like, excuse me? He said what?
I know she's been coming hunting with us, and I'm like, bro, this I gotta. Are you sure it's a good idea? Because,
She lives with me.
well, yeah, there's that.
I mean,
There's that.
I keep trying to get my wife to come too, but she's like, wait, so let me get this straight.
Oh, it's easy. You don't. You have to.
I knew that was coming out. If you hadn't said something, I was going to. I got you.
Oh shit. Sorry.
You'll have to use that one.
It only picks up one.
No, it picks up both, but I turned up the gain on that one.
so he's got 2 kids though, but they're twins. So
Yeah, I got a boy and a girl.
Oh, you pulled a Benny.
Yeah, one and done though, man.
Yeah, Benny,
one
Benny.
and done. They're getting
Benny
ready to
has
turn
2
5.
twins. He has a boy and a girl.
Yeah, that's what I have too.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and they're getting ready to turn 5. Last day in December.
Yeah,
They're gonna
Benny's
turn
are
5.
turning what? 20? Yeah.
how old's Benny?
Yeah, 19 or 20. Benny, he's 41.
All right.
He's fucking old.
I know. Super old.
My oldest kid is 6.
Easy, I'm not that far off from that. God
Just
dang,
kidding.
you
I got a 21-year-old that works with us here.
Oh, I was gonna say, I was like, you said 41 and he's old. I'm like, wait, hold on now, because I'm getting pretty close to that.
I'm also 41.
Yeah, that's why I said that.
Yeah.
Okay,
Leo's going to be 41 in a few days, like 2 or 3
No.
weeks.
The 29th?
Yeah, like
That's
3
still-
weeks.
Hey John,
Yeah.
put the
Okay,
where
it's
they
like
can
4
send
weeks, whatever.
money, Venmo
They can send them.
for Leo's
Yeah.
birthday.
There you go.
put up a GoFundMe for a birthday party.
Yeah. We could
That's a
afford
good idea. I'll
One
send you
little
the
confetti
Venmo link
thing
for my birthday too.
Yeah, I had to quit working at Cal Ranch because the reason I started working
So
there.
is that how you guys met at Cal Ranch?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, I was buying ammo from him, like he said, almost every other day. Because when I would go into town to drop off packages to ship them, or to get farm supplies, I would just, I'm going there anyways. I'll walk over to the gun counter, and he was like, "Why don't you just work here?" And I was like, because at the time, since I had just moved into that property, Rocky Mountain Power told me that they'd have a 3-phase pole dropped like 2 weeks after I put the order in. It took them almost a year.
Oh, shit.
And so I went without power for a long time. That, and I was going back and forth to California, still getting a lot of my tools and equipment. See, I had a moving company bring a lot of my crates here, which was a mistake because they lost a lot of them. So I've had to rebuild a lot of my tooling, and I still am finding stuff that I go, oh, I have that. Oh, that's right. I don't have that anymore because stuff went missing. And so I had to.
steal his drink. Everybody's stealing from you. Might as well join around. Fun.
And so I got to rebuild a bunch of tools, but because of that, I was not running for a long time, which also I got the best customers in the world though, because so many of my customers were just they knew what was going on, and they were like, "Don't worry about it. When you get it done, you get it done."
Yeah.
And I was like, I cannot express how thankful I am to those people. I had some people that they couldn't wait, and I get that. I mean, you got money out in the void, you want it back. I get that. But I still had a lot of people that they were willing to hang with me, and I seriously appreciate them for that. But in that interim period, since a lot of my stuff wasn't working, like my big press, my power hammer wasn't running, I was doing whatever I could do old school. And I mean, everything I do is old school. I'm a blacksmith, but doing it the hard way, which meant that I was able to take at least, Saturday. And so I worked there Saturdays for a while.
So right now, before you keep going, you say old school. and I understand it. I wonder what like new generation blacksmith, like how they improved what they do.
Well, closed die forging would be, I would say, new generation.
How's that? How
So open die forging would be like hammer and anvil, or just a power hammer. You got an anvil and a hammer just going bang bang, and you are shaping the steel between those. Whereas closed die forging, you have a die set that is basically a negative image of what you're trying to make, and so you can do maybe a little pre-forging. So bend it so it's real close to that shape, get it wicked hot, and then put it in between those dies and bang, and then there's the part. They do that a lot with like
That's pretty cool.
engine crankshafts. So if you get an engine crank or a camshaft that's forged, well, that's what they're doing. They'll do a primary forging that they run a chunk of steel in between a set of power hammer dies and just boom, and it's pretty well done. And then it comes out of there and then goes over to another set of dies that will actually trim it, because when you move the material that way, you get some flash. So you have the edging. Well, this next operation will trim that off, and now you've got a flat crankshaft. And then they'll take that and set it into another machine that will then bend the crankshaft such that all of the journals are in the right orientation, so that as it spins, and then they'll machine it.
So it's like a more efficient way of blacksmithing, I guess.
Yeah.
That's, to me, I would think like cheating.
I mean, yeah.
I think
He gets that a lot.
I get that a lot. See, my problem is I screwed up and I called my business McMurry Hand Forged.
So you do some of that?
I do some of that, yeah. The thing is that it's like
cheater.
I was just gonna say.
I saw you.
The power hammer thing. That one gets me so much flack, because I used to post myself working at the power hammer because it's entertaining and it gets people to engage on social media. And I would get trolls that would be like, "You're not hand forging that. That's a power hammer." I'm like, how long do you think we've had power hammers?
Yeah.
They had power hammers run by water like pre-Roman times. There are water hammers, I think they're in Switzerland, that are like 1,500 years old and are still operating. Like
That's insane.
We have evidence of power hammers dating back to like the very beginnings of the Iron Age. Like, since we've been beating hot metal, we've been looking for ways to do it without having to kill ourselves to do it.
Why can't we build machines like that anymore?
Seriously, man. There's a buddy of ours. He just acquired a bunch of old equipment. And there's some of these hammers that they have there, some of these, their presses. I don't know how much he was telling me they weighed, but tons.
Yeah, I have
tons of.
a 4-post hydraulic press that weighs about 18,000 pounds. And
the height of them were like 15 feet.
Yeah, that's what mine is too. Mine's about 14, 15 feet, because the hydraulic assembly is up on top of it. So the motor's got about a 200-gallon tank of hydraulic fluid up there, which sucks trying to change that fluid, because you're on a ladder running a pump trying to fill the thing up. And what's cool about that press is it was made in America.
So you could forge blades out of your shop?
Oh yeah, I have everything to do it.
So do you guys hear that? That's our next video. We're gonna go forge some blades.
Let's do it.
with Justin.
Teach us how.
I've never done one.
You don't even need to teach me how to forge a blade. Just teach me how to forge anything. That'd be cool. I'd be down.
I'll help you with that, but you're gonna have to grind it, because I hate
I'll grind. No.
I hate
Like I
grinding.
said, I like grinding.
It's crazy.
Leo can
I don't
grind.
even have a 2x72 anymore. I sold it.
Fuck, I'll take mine out of my shop. Too. And we'll do it there.
Like, I have a 6x48. It's a wide belt.
Yep.
I have that, and I use that for like general deburring. I don't do a lot of. I mean, I say that I do a lot of grinding. I do a lot of angle grinding stuff because I do have a lot of contours and things like that. But I try to forge things as close as I possibly can, so
the
that
shape.
so that I can just deburr basically.
much,
Just clean it up.
Have you considered getting like a big ass tumbler to
I have one.
to do that instead of grinding?
I have a vibratory tumbler, mass finishing. It's an old machine, and it works pretty good. But it's hard to get a media that will remove enough material fast enough for it to be worthwhile.
Okay.
Like I have really like the most aggressive ceramic media that you can get, and it's still you're running that thing literally for a week straight.
Oh, okay.
To get sufficient deburring.
So it's not even like you can throw a bunch of pans in at night and in the morning you're ready to go.
No,
that's
and the
not
other thing
even
too
enough.
is working around that thing is miserable.
Yeah, that's why I say like
It's
if you're running it at
punishing.
night while you're not there, maybe.
Yeah. And the other thing too is my shop is not insulated. So if you got any type of like
So this video is going to
So-
happen next summer.
Yeah, give us until like April.
actually I just got
He just bought a new heater.
I just bought a huge
Okay,
coal
February.
burning- I just bought a huge coal burning furnace from the 1930s. It came out of a high school gymnasium in Nampa,
Oh, nice.
and I'm still getting it tuned and dialed in, but it's pretty rad because I can just fill the hopper, turn it on, light a fire, and it will burn all day.
Did you say coal?
Yeah.
Dang it! Now we're not gonna get pushed on YouTube.
What's wrong with coal?
It's not clean energy,
You can use pellets.
so YouTube won't push us.
Yeah.
It'll burn pellets. It
YouTube
burns
doesn't
pellets.
words.
It doesn't. use
YouTube
coal.
doesn't like words like coal.
Yeah, they don't like coal.
There's another C word that's also four letters. They don't like that one
There's
either.
a bunch of C words.
It happened
Is
in
it co-
2020.
oh, no.
That one. Yep. Yeah.
I'm all too familiar with that. I made a comment on a post in a buy-sell trade group here, and immediately after I made that post, my reach on all meta platforms just went.
Oh, jeez, it's crazy.
Yeah, it's tough out there, you know. But yeah, if you want to come in the winter, just put a jacket on, man. Not that bad.
I'm sure you got
Fuck you laughing
a
at?
tops jacket you can wear.
And plus, I
You're
mean,
going to be videoing this shit, though.
Yeah, you're
Keep
gonna
laughing.
be there, John.
all we got to do is because I got several forges. I've got my solid fuel forge. I'll say solid fuel, right? And so
There you go. Yes.
I'll run.
Yes,
I have my
nice.
solid fuel forges. Wow. And that'll keep you pretty warm. But then I also have a forced induction forge that is propane, and that thing sucks to work around because it is just puking heat into the air around you. It has you can close it all up, but the problem is it's got two burner. It's a cylindrical chamber. It's got two burners coming in on the top and two burners coming on the bottom, and then there's like a bridge in the middle that you put your stuff on. Wow. And so the heat is indirect, and it's going around it like this. So it's a real even indirect heat. But you open that door and that air blast, it's just like it just cooks your facial hair back. The reason my beard is as long as it is because I've been burning coal more than I've been running
Solid
that.
You've
fuel?
been burning coal too.
Excuse me.
Some
Have you
of
been
that-
doing this your whole life?
Some of that really clean solid fuel.
Yeah, solid fuel, clean burning solid fuel. Yeah, so you won't. I mean, as long as we're working in the hot work area, hey, you can be sweating. The rest of the shop sucks. Just don't get sweaty and then walk over into the rest of the shop.
Yeah.
Because
So-
then you get hypothermia.
Naughty kids power his furnace. That's a Santa Claus joke.
Yeah,
for
that
those
was well
didn't-
done. That
I
was
gonna
well
say,
done.
is
Didn't get
that
it.
better
It was,
than
Yeah, I'm sorry.
I think everybody got it. I think just
I apologize.
You know, I was actually going to bring you guys. I have a spare Christmas tree. I was going to bring it for your ambiance here.
oh yeah.
Yeah, I should have thought about that.
Where are you at, John?
Where's the Christmas tree, bud?
Come on, man.
Dude, we can't see you. There's a mic. You have it in your hand.
He's pointing back at the corner.
Oh,
What's
man.
up, guys? I don't have. We
So
You don't have-
anyway,
yeah, we don't wanna see
you don't
you,
need to
it's
say
fine.
anything. That's fine.
we wouldn't be able to see it either way. That's
So
what
when
we
you say that you do that you were doing decorative work, was it like wall type art? Was it like tables? What like
Fences or
yeah?
Railing. Like I see
What do
a
you
lot
mean?
of
What do you mean
railing.
by that?
Mostly like interior design stuff. So I occasionally would do like railing type things, but that wasn't really my bread and butter. A lot of it was like what you're saying, like wall art type things or decorative, like decor kind of things. So
like a bicycle,
no, not that.
like the one you have on your wall. It's like one of those.
Yeah,
like-
that one's gone now.
Oh,
but
you
yeah,
got
I
rid
know.
of it?
No, Deanie did.
Oh, that was a cool bike.
I like that. For
I
Liam.
liked it.
I like that.
What
for
about
Liam.
those tables that have like chains? Have you seen them? That there's like only chains holding the corners.
Oh yeah, like
Those
No,
are
that's just
tin-
fucking
Those
welding.
tin-
impossible tables?
That's just welding.
No, see, I did more like
Fair enough.
Give us a good example because we're lost.
Yeah, explain interior to decorating to
So
a
I
bunch
did
of guys
like,
that
for instance,
don't do it.
I made a coffee table that was
See, he
all.
makes tables.
Is table a YouTube appropriate word?
Yes,
I
sir.
just say that, yes.
I
Yeah.
made a table that was all forged tenon and key joinery, so no welds. So, like, a woodworker would take the end of a board and cut it into a perfect rectangle, and then and then put them together.
Cut it like a groove and tongue.
Exactly,
type deal.
yeah, like that, but with
He's a carpenter.
with iron and
He made that.
having it stick out farther on the other side
Supposed
with
to
a
be level.
slot, so you can put a key in it that you can drive a wedge, so that you could potentially take the thing back apart. But it's mainly for the look. It looks neat.
Okay.
I made a lot of that. I made a bench for a rich white lady that it was all like
Which he loves.
bread and butter.
Rich
No.
white ladies are the best.
She
Did I say that? out loud?
it was
Sorry.
cool because she was willing to pay, but it was one of those clients where I had a lot of revisions with her, and that was, like I said, she was really nice, really sweet. I really enjoyed working for her, but she had a vision like, this is exactly what I want. I want it to look and feel, and for her the feel was almost
Too rough.
well, like, I don't know, like the aura. I don't know how to explain it, but it was one of those things where she was like, she would like be in the room with something and be like, it doesn't feel right. I'm like, what does that mean? I don't know what that means, right?
Oh, I do.
Should I sand it? You
Yeah.
want me to sand it?
Like, it's just like in the room with it. I kind of get that.
We
from
have
a-
that too.
You know,
feel right.
you know what else doesn't feel right? This right here.
But that one was, and it was
It's been a while, John.
that bench was, instead of like tenon and key joinery, it was giant rivet heads. So it was, I would take, like, for instance, the main front crossbar on this bench was forged out of a piece of 2-inch by 3-inch solid bar that was then narrowed, and it came to a peak in the middle and then narrowed out and then came out again to wider than full size. I forget the dimension on the end, but I drew that out into a really like real chunky front fascia on this thing. And then same thing, a tenon on the end of it that I forged in, and then that passed through a mortise in the side piece of that, and then I riveted that over. So basically just peened it hot. So it was just this big square chunky rivet head basically, and it was all one piece front fascia, and all the side pieces were that, all the back, everything. It was all, I tried to make every rivet head as chunky as I could possibly make it. That bench ended up weighing like 1,800 pounds.
I was gonna say,
When-
holy
yeah.
shit.
Yeah.
When she said I'm not feeling it, like what'd you
Like,
do?
it doesn't
did you
feel
say
right.
what did you do something about it? Did you make a
Well,
change? Did you
luckily-
shrug your
so-
shoulders and say I'm sorry, man?
Her first revision was pretty straightforward, and it was one of those things where like I was like, yeah, that makes sense. Then the second revision was she didn't like the finish on it. One of the finishes that I do a lot is I'll blacken the steel, and then I'll come back over it with a brass brush while it's hot, and that'll it's like dry brushing. That'll pick up the high points, and so then those darkened low points sink even darker, and so the light dances out. I think it looks cool. Well, she didn't like that, and I tried not to take it personally, but I had to.
In your head, you're like, bitch, you don't even know what you want.
I didn't take it personal. Well, I had already sealed it, right? It had already been sealed, so I had to cook all that finish back off. Which, I mean, it's just a couple hours with an oxyacetylene torch. Probably not a couple hours. That's an exaggeration. Maybe an hour. And then she just wanted it to be black, just dead black, and so that's what I did. I just blackened it, and then. yeah, so well, I mean, I made her revisions sound like they were a big deal. They weren't a big deal. I was a little perturbed at the point, but looking back, it's not as bad as I remember.
So if you hear our podcast,
if you're listening to this,
Yeah, if you're listening to this, I didn't actually call you a bitch. That's just like a.
No, that was great.
It's just a thing
that
that people
wasn't
say.
me. You're a good customer, and I appreciate you. Please come back.
But don't ever order anything again.
Yeah, although shipping, because that was in a previous
what you get.
place.
How much
and-
shipping? $7 billion. I can't. I'm sorry.
you had to ship that?
No.
Oh, I'm
I was
like,
saying
whoa.
if she was to order it now, she'd have to because she lived in El Dorado Hills, California,
Oh, jeez.
which was a
I know that feeling though.
hoity-toity place.
It would have been cheaper just to come and pick it up.
Yeah,
Oh, absolutely.
yeah, it'd have been cheaper for me to truck it out there. Of course, the thing is that now there's other smiths in California that she can go to. So
Yeah.
In heavy industrial places.
I know, right? As long as they're zoned right.
Yeah.
That
Be
are
careful
dangerous.
with that
as fuck.
zoning.
So
That are getting fucking robbed every
definitely
day.
carry with you when you go visit these places.
No, don't carry.
Yeah, carry.
California, unless you have it.
You'll get screwed.
Yeah, but you're gonna get more screwed by the guys that are gonna rob you. So
That's a good point.
You know-
Good luck getting a permit.
I-
I'll tell you.
Yeah, right.
You just got to
Well,
pack,
we're about to come
of these.
police officer here, and you come. So
just pack one of those.
Craig has.
is it
one of those
gonna
on
is it
his
gonna
desk.
pop in his hand?
We know.
That's one of those
we know the girl that makes those.
fake Sharpies.
There's several people making these things now.
Well, we know
A
the
guy, yeah.
Girl.
Well, this one comes from a magazine company out of Idaho Falls.
Oh shit.
Oh, okay.
The Post Register.
That's a newspaper, first of all.
It's Idaho Falls magazine.
Wrong kind of magazine, but
The Post Register. Good Lord.
but see, the cool thing is it's all plastic, so it goes through a metal detector.
Just-
Dude, they're going to kick
apparently-
in your front door. one
Apparently,
of these days.
carbon fiber won't.
Really?
If you have a dense enough,
too
if you have a
dense, yeah.
thick enough piece of it, it'll metal detectors will pick it up.
G10's the same.
G10 supposedly won't, but I don't know.
You want to try it?
We should.
I'll make you a knife.
Let's do it.
So I have taken that through a metal detector.
Yeah, this wouldn't.
Nah.
But G10, I don't know.
I think G10 is supposed to be fine, but carbon fiber is supposed to be the one that'll get picked
Does
up.
it hurt?
Don't.
I'm not gonna try it.
Well, then why did you ask?
You would have said yes.
Yeah. Can I see it?
Yeah.
Thank you.
If you give it to John, he's gonna ask you. If
No,
you
I'm
have
not. I'm not gonna give it to you.
So are you making like
Jeez.
pots and pans every day, or
Yes.
I don't know.
it. He fucking said he does it for a living.
Yeah, but
You make it sound really boring. Jeez. He's like, so like,
He's like,
I mean, it
is
kinda
this
is.
really what you've chosen to do with your life?
I didn't come here thinking I'd be so.
how long
I
does
gotta
it?
look deep within myself now here.
He's gonna leave from here, and fucking close his shop.
How long does it take you to make one?
Time to
Let's say
change
start to
jobs, I guess.
finish. Or you do everything by like
Hold on.
pieces.
Go ahead. Ask your question.
Parts and pieces.
Ask your question again.
So how do you?
No. How long?
How long does it take you to start a project from start to finish?
So that depends on the product line. The Vaquero line, which is my economy line, I tend to make those parts in batches.
Do you do those? Do you run those more? That line?
Yes,
Yeah.
that line.
I would, and the reason I'm saying I would figure you would, like me personally, what I like doing is testing the water
Yeah.
and see how that works, and then you're like, holy shit, this is pretty badass. I wonder what his custom one would do. That's what I do.
So I
bet you
started
there's a lot
out.
of people that do
I started out doing custom line stuff. I did the Vaquero line right at the height, or well, right at the beginning of the COVID debacle.
that. Here go with that
That's
C
Another
word.
word you
You
can't
just
say.
like
Yeah,
that
it's
word.
another word
Oh.
you can't say on YouTube.
That's right.
Jesus given up on that one though.
No, it's
so
fine.
Can you bleep it in post?
He can, yes. I
can bleep this.
Yes.
Oh, we're bleeping that, but none of the rest of the words.
Yeah.
You know what? 152 is not even going to make it to YouTube. It's just going to be 153.
Right? No, I started that right at the beginning of that. And that line, and it was just one pan to begin with. That line saved my business. Like the Vaquero pan, when I started it, we were hurting because everybody was afraid, right? Nobody wanted to spend money. Everybody was home. People were looking, but they were scared. And we were hurting. Like at the time I had employees. And I remember my dad and I, cause I hired my dad. My dad and I were sitting in the conference room at the old shop back when I had an office. And, we were sitting down like making hard decisions, you know.
What's next, pretty much.
And he and I kind of just put our heads together, like, what can we do to survive this? And because my dad is like he's an old machinist. He's an old tool, like spiritualist. Like he can wave his hands over old machines and figure out what's wrong with them.
Yeah.
And he's also a kind of a savant, you know. I'm an idiot savant, and he's just a savant. And he was like, why don't we engineer the living daylights out of one pan and try to go toes with some of these big name companies that are coming from overseas, like French companies that are making pans at scale. Now, granted, I don't have the same overhead as they do, but I also don't have as deep of pockets as they do by far. And so it was a hard, like it was a lot of thought put into it, because it had to be engineered enough that it was very standardized so that it was easy to make, manufacturability. And then we actually injected a lot of Toyota principles into it with 5S, things like that, in order to, and I learned all this in manufacturing because I was a plant manager. And I took all of my manufacturing expertise, and then my dad took all of his old machine knowledge and his skills at jig making. That's one thing that my dad was like, he could see something and immediately cook up a jig in his head to making that simple and fast and repeatable. And
does your dad want to come to Tubbs?
And so that's what we did. And he and I, with our meshed expertise, and then working with the guys on the floor. At the time, also my sister was working for me, and my sister has like no filter. So if something's not working, she'll stop doing it, march in the office, and cuss me out for it not working. Like, you did this wrong. And because we did that, we then started making them, and we were lucky because we already had the customer base. But when you're making custom line pans and you have people that are collecting them, pretty soon they run out of pieces to collect. And so then you have to start looking for new customers. And when you're looking for new customers with a product that is not very impulse buyable, it's hard to get into new customers. And so the Vaquero line is nice because almost every single pan of the Vaquero line is under $100. And that's retail, under $100. And I have not increased that price since its inception. So all of the increases in steel, which, steel is awful. I've been eating that price. And right now I'm able to because, again, it's just me, And that's the other thing, too, is because we gronked that process so much to make it to where anybody just about with some training and some eye for material movement and some eye for symmetry could more or less walk up to the machine, and after a few cycles... After a few cycles, get it and start making passing product. Because I did that, that meant that when I moved here and it was just me, I was able to still produce at a reasonable volume for being just one man working in a freezer in the middle of
going back to
January.
John's question, a month, how many pots and pans do you think you're pushing out?
Man, that's a hard. I can tell you how much I paid for shipping last month. I paid $2,200 for shipping last month, and each pan, depending on where it's going, can cost anywhere from like $8 to ship up to like $20 to ship within the continental U.S. And so that kind of gives you an idea as to how many I shipped. But then I had some overrun because I shipped people that were buying onesie twosies, but then I get people that are buying a whole set. And since I make them in batches, it's like, okay, I got to make all the 11-inch skillets. And then those sit on the rack until I finish up their roasters. And then those go in that order. Then I finish up their 8-inch skillets. Those go in that order, you know. And so then when that happens, then those go out too. So custom line, I'm lucky if I make 3 or 4 pans a month. Sometimes more if I'm hopping. And if the Vaquero line has not got me running ragged. With the Vaquero line, my biggest day was about 130 pans.
Holy shit! I was thinking.
That's a lot.
Now, I got to quantify that. That's not seasoned, ready to ship. That's 130 pans forged out, assembled, hot riveted together, and set over by my blasting area to get the surface prep done to go to seasoning. So seasoning,
Still at the bottom.
you're going to add more for the seasoning. But that's just the Vaquero line. And I've been running trying to get caught up with orders because being down for so long, I got super behind, you know. It was
So
like
if I were to
super
go,
behind.
if I were to go buy one, like say right now, how long before I would get it?
You're probably a month and a half to 2 months out.
Okay. So it's not like it's not
That's not
terrible,
that bad.
terrible.
How about custom?
Custom line, you're probably 7-8 months out,
Oh,
maybe.
damn. Okay.
Probably
Yeah.
more than that, actually.
Wow.
Yeah, it depends. Yeah, it depends. Especially, also depends on what you order.
Tiene vino.
Do you find that you have a lot of it's a funny situation because it seems like a lot of people nowadays, a lot of like your I don't know how to say this without it sounding super political, but it seems like a lot of people that are kind of like hippie side of things, maybe liberal side of things, they're looking for clean pans. They're looking for stuff without a coating. They're looking for stuff that's not necessarily like almost anything you buy with a Teflon coating. The even if it's not a Teflon coating, whatever coating it is, it's not good for you.
Yeah,
Right?
You
And
need
so-
to watch the film Dark Waters
Okay.
with Mark Ruffalo. That talks about how DuPont basically was poisoning Americans for pay. Teflon will give you Alzheimer's. It will give you Alzheimer's. That stuff is terrible for the end user, and it's also terrible for every aspect of its
For the people that make
manufacture.
it, the people that spray it,
The people that are around the factory,
Mm-hmm.
they're getting cancers. It's terrible, terrible stuff. Yeah.
And so
But I
do
think
you
I-
find yourself like I mean it's just funny because
Thank you.
you're buying ammo like on the daily, and then you're selling pans to like liberal white ladies.
Well,
Those two things don't necessarily jive.
You got to
Well,
go where the money
But
is,
see,
though,
that's
right?
that's where the thing is. Like,
The crossover on this is funny to me.
Yeah.
That's what it is. It's funny.
but
It's
the
interesting.
thing is, most people they don't give a shit.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting
Most
you say
people
that
get
because
along really well.
That's
To be
true.
honest.
That's also true.
Yeah, it's just the media does it.
in the
It's
big,
the extremes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's the
yeah,
extremes.
that's exactly it. Because I think everybody, especially these days in the last year, I think everybody is starting to see the hand we've been dealt as a nation. I think everybody's starting to see like what they have been, quote unquote, tinfoil hats, what they have been doing to us. Like we've been sold a bill of goods, and people are starting to see that. And so in the beginning, yeah, I think a lot of my pans, it was guys that were in the deep backcountry. Like for instance, I got one guy he's a mule packer.
White man?
What's that?
The white man?
White Ben?
Oh, he does.
No,
not.
he does alpacas.
Oh no, this guy he goes out for like he'll be gone a month. He'll have like 12 mules on a train that he's got behind him. He's riding a horse.
Oh shit.
And he will just ride out into the backcountry or wherever, Montana. He's come out here in Idaho at times. He's been Wyoming. I mean, everywhere, the Dakotas. And he's a specific type. He's a hunter. He's an outdoorsman, obviously. The dude Like, drop him in the wilderness with nothing, and he can survive. He's that kind of guy. And so that was a bread and butter customer. And then the other side of it was the more crunchy people, crunchy moms that are very concerned about
what's getting put into their kids' bodies,
exactly,
and things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the artistic side of it too. They like that. It's they're decorating the nest.
For me, I like
as it were.
the rugged look.
Yeah.
That's what draws me.
Yeah, and it's interesting because the outdoorsman, he likes the rugged look. The crunchy almond mom, or she also likes the rugged look. So it's interesting that happened. But now,
Sorry.
but now it's getting to the point where I see those two extremes are starting to close in on one another. You're getting people in the middle that maybe just didn't care. They're going to Walmart and buying a $10 pan.
But then again,
You
they
know.
never tried it.
Yeah, but they are starting to.
Yeah,
now.
exactly.
I've had more new customers in the last 2 years than I had cumulatively in the last probably 10. And again, I maybe not 100% because of that, because the Vaquero line is also responsible of that, because
Because the price point is reachable, yeah.
It's people will do more of an impulse buy if it's under $100. They're not hemming and hawing quite so much.
So a whole set, Vaquero line, let's say, a whole set, how many pieces is that?
So for the Vaquero line, you have an 11.5-inch skillet with a lid. You have an 8-inch skillet, which
Is that what we're using today?
Yeah.
So that's what we cooked the duck in, was the
That was
11
11
and
and
a
a
half.
half. Okay.
And then the tortillas were fried in the 8-inch.
That's the one that Craig burned.
The
Yeah.
one that Craig
It's
burned?
perfectly fine. The guy that makes them said
I
so
know.
himself. Fuck you
I
guys.
know it don't look like it, but
No,
it
I
is.
don't.
I will say, whoever's
don't look
watching
so
this,
fine.
the 8-inch pan is not more likely to burn your house down than the 11-inch pan.
No.
Okay, but if you're cooking
I'm
oil
sorry.
over and
user
I'm
over,
sorry. I didn't turn the fucking burner off after we cooked the tortillas and the grease caught on fire. Okay, I'm sorry. I apologized multiple
No, so
times.
you were using a 2-piece set with a lid for the 11.5. So 11.5, 8, lid for the 11.5. There's getting ready to be a lid for the 8. I've got the Lone Rider, which is a single burner griddle, and then I have the Buckaroo, which is a double burner griddle. It's
That's
the
the
same.
one that I was asking you, the flour.
Yeah, and then I have a round crepe pan that hasn't been on the rotation for a while because I'm trying to catch up with everything else. I have that round crepe pan. I have one with bail handles that you can use as a pizza pan. I get a lot of people that use it. It's flat and it's just got a little kick on the edges, just to so the dough
hold
doesn't
things in.
it doesn't roll off the edge. I've also got baking steels that are there's the full size pallet, which is almost the same size as the 2-burner griddle, the Buckaroo, but it's 3/16 plate. I can't remember. 3/16 plate steel, which is a good mix. It's like a lightweight baking steel, so it's a good mix of holding heat for like crispy sourdough bread, but not so stinking heavy that you're gonna throw your back out trying to get it out of the oven. I get a lot of people that
So is that
buy
like
those.
is that like a bread pan, like a 9-inch kind of?
It's just a flat piece
it's a
of
flat
steel
piece. Okay.
that I will actually bevel the edge with the hammer so that it actually adds structural rigidity so it won't clunk when it gets hot.
twist on you.
Yeah,
And that's
so-
what we were talking about too. That a lot of these that you buy at a store, you start putting them in
Use
heat
them a
and
few
you just
times. They just
yeah,
start twisting
bending
and yeah,
they
it's,
suck.
Yeah, so a lot of those pans that warp like that are actually spun, not forged. So they put them on a lathe. It's a flat disc, and then they're using rollers with
they're
this
taking
big
material
and
away.
Well, they're not really taking material away. They're just
oh yeah.
moving the material.
Yeah, the way they
differently.
form it. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I've
So
seen that.
my pans are forged, so they're not spun. So we talked about closed dies.
Yep.
They're not really closed dies. I have a punch and a die set that I will set for the Vaquero line. I'll set my blank in there and get it all centered up with some jigging that my dad and I put together. The pan gets pressed, and at that point, the pan is probably 80% done. I will then curl it up just a little bit and clean it up and do some eyeball stuff to it to make it look and feel right. And then I do that on steak anvils at my big anvil and on the surface of the anvil with several different hammers. And like I said, I do it in batches. So I'll sit down in front of my press and I'll have a stack of 200 blanks. And then I'm just feeding and then pull and then set in a pan. If you get enough cycle time, you start seeing when things go sideways before they go sideways. And so your coal rate will go down as you get better at it.
Solid fuel.
Yeah.
Your solid fuel.
Yeah.
Right?
No, cull. CULL.
Your waste. You're like a
Yes.
loss.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got you better.
That's what I said earlier too. Cull.
Coal. Yeah, good call.
Yeah.
Nice.
Good cull.
Well done.
So what that means is that, instead of having a 20% wastage or a 10% wastage, which is pretty bad, I can get it down to like a percent. Like there have been times where I've
not bad.
done a run of 500 pressings and had one go sideways.
That's not bad at all.
Damn.
But so you get a stack of pans on the ground and it's this high and it weighs, friggin' 1,300 pounds because it's just solid steel all the way down. And then the same thing with the handles. The handles all get processed all together. Every single step is done in a batch, which I have to do as one man because I'm doing a lot of this on the same equipment. Mm-hmm. Because when I moved here, I sold a lot of stuff, which was stupid. I should not have done that. I should have taken it with me, but it was those things where it's like, how am I going to get that there?
Easier to sell it and try to buy again.
Yeah, well then, when I came here, I found out that like forklifts are outrageously expensive now. Like it used to be, you could buy a clapped out beater Bobcat skid steer for like $3,000, and now you can't buy a clapped out beater skid steer for less than 10. It seems.
You can't get the tires for.
Yeah. Seriously.
Yeah.
Fuck that.
Dude, it's gotten crazy, and so that was a mistake on my part. But because of that, I don't do changeovers often. So I'll have a crate full of handles that are going through each individual process, and then once they're all done, then I retool, and then the next individual process, or I'll stand at the anvil and I'm working all of them the same way, and so that also it sucks because you're what is that they call that? Repetitive trauma, stuff that OSHA tries to keep you away from.
And that's every job
Do you
everywhere.
ever
Really.
Do you ever try to do, like, say somebody orders a whole set of vaquero? Do you ever try to do it, like
Run that
set? Would it be possible?
It would take longer because of the changeover.
It's not as efficient.
Yeah, just for being a one-man show.
I don't give a shit. I'm talking like, what if we go, we run a set, I'm going to buy a complete set from you, and we run it.
So if
would it be possible?
It would be possible. Yeah, if we wanted to do that, it would be possible. It would not be cost effective, but if you don't give a crap about that, well then rock and roll. We can just make it happen. It's if it's for like for demonstration or for expo or something like that. Yeah, rock and roll. There's a point to it. But usually
But for your day to day, that's not.
Yeah.
Gonna
No, yeah, the day to day.
Yeah, and then there was a time when multiple lines were running at the same time, but again, I had employees. And so now it's with only just me, and I want to get to the point where I have employees again. I want to get there. But my problem was we were down for so long. I was living off of savings for so long that now it's like,
Playing catch up.
Yeah, and just riding that fine line the whole time. But yeah, I mean that can happen.
So on your custom stuff, like do you have so for example, say I want to make a liner for an air fryer. So like the ones that come with the air fryers, like some of the coating comes off, and I mean that can't be fucking healthy
Can't
for
be good
you.
for you. Yep.
That's totally fine.
And there's yeah, and they have those silicone pads that you put on, but those suck. Like because part of the point of an air fryer is you want that air circulating, so you need like a good liner with holes that has holes in it.
So yeah, you could do that. The thing about it is that typically air fryer cycles are fast enough that the steel that I use for pans won't heat up fast enough for the air fryer to be effective.
Even if you preheat it?
If you preheat it, it will work.
Because I know there's like some stuff where they're like preheat your air fryer.
Oh, so you put the thing in your oven first and then Then you throw it.
Or you just
probably
run
have to
you run
Put
the
the
area
whole
or you
air
just run
fryer
it.
in the oven.
Yeah,
yeah, right.
No, you run
the entire thing.
You run the air fryer for
Just
like
leave
5-10
the cord
minutes.
hanging out.
Okay.
You run the air fryer first, and then you put your food in.
Oh, okay. Instead of like throwing a basket in the oven or something.
Yeah, if you did that, it would probably work.
Yeah, because those cheapy fucking air fryer liners that come with, man.
So
like,
for
I
for
swear I've
something like
eaten
that-
half of the paint.
for something like that, you might even want to do like stainless for everyday use.
Yeah, you can get like the stainless, like real thin stainless.
Yeah.
And then use for that.
Because then,
And then just do holes.
well, yeah,
okay.
it would heat
Well,
fast.
I'm not gonna order a custom.
You know, yeah, it would heat fast.
it.
No, that's cool to know though.
Yeah,
Because I would have imagined that it was the same.
You know what you could do? So you know at restaurants they have the little bins that they keep like the coleslaw and stuff at the buffet. Those
Oh, yeah.
stainless bins that drop into
Do you know what he's talking about, John?
Oh, of course he does.
Absolutely. He's very familiar with
He
buffets.
loves
Yeah.
buffets.
Yeah,
But
so
all he
next
eats is
time
the
you're at the
chicken.
buffet, like steal
Just
one
take
of
the
those.
whole tin of coleslaw.
And give that to Jesus for his birthday.
Yeah, thank you.
'Cause I bet you
I say
could-
thank you from
I bet you could take that and like cut it
For
down to
future
height, you know, with like a zip disc on an angle grinder,
Yeah.
and then just knock a couple of holes in it. That would probably work pretty good. Just deburr the holes because those things
I'm
will
gonna have
cut
to
you
do
to
that
ribbons.
then.
Yeah.
So we got to wrap up fairly quickly here. But first, why? So a couple of questions. What's the difference between like a regular cast iron pan and what you're making?
Yeah, that's a good.
And then I think
It's made in
I think-
Idaho. What the fuck, Craig?
And then I think this like, well, I mean, it's
I
kind
want
of
him
for,
to
it's kind of
say
for you
that.
to like sell it. You know what I mean? So like, why what you do instead of like a regular cast iron? And then I don't know, more of just like a statement, like the idea of how much healthier, like how much better it is for you to use that kind of pan as opposed to something you buy at a Walmart or a Target or whatever.
Sure. So size for size, typically my pans are lighter than cast iron, but you're still going to get the same heat retention. You're still going to get the same evenness of heat because you have so much mass in it. Now, the reason that mine are size for size lighter is because in the casting for cast iron, you have draft in order to be able to get it out of the mold, you know? And because of that, you're going to have varying thickness. So if your pan edge is straight down, it's going to get thicker in that corner, you know, and so that adds mass. At the handle, they have to make it thick. Now, one thing people don't realize about a lot of cast iron, especially the cast iron that they're using for pans. Now, granted, there is high carbon cast iron that typically we use for like vices. We'll use high carbon cast iron. Pans don't use that. Pans are typically using recycled cast iron. Like, case in point, there is a manufacturer here in the United States that's long been known for making cast iron cookware. They make great stuff, they really do. Part of their process is salvaging scrap. Now, that's okay because of the way that they prep and purify that scrap. They end up with a known quantity, but it's still a low carbon, as far as cast iron goes, material, such that it has to be a little thicker in cross section in order to not be brittle. A lot of cast iron is brittle. Like if you've ever seen somebody that has taken a cast iron pan out of the fire and stuck it in water and it's cracked.
It's cracked all over, yeah.
Yeah, that doesn't happen to my pans. They won't crack. You like sometimes you'll drop a cast iron pan and it'll crack. My pans won't do
Burn
that.
the shit out of them.
You can light them on fire. Yeah.
Well, yeah, you can make them all smoky.
It's fine. It's fine.
It's fine. Yeah, it's totally fine. They're meant for that. Well, and the other thing too is that because they are heavier, a lot of manufacturers, in order to try to make them lighter, they will actually make a section in the bottom way thin. And so that's why when you'll get a cast iron pan, you'll have a belly in the bottom of it that comes up or down and then just never goes away. Well, that's because you've got differential
You got a thin
expansion.
spot. Yeah.
The other thing too is that with a cast iron pan, most of them, modern cast iron, they're getting better about this, but those tend to be expensive. The floor of the pan is flat going to a flat corner. And so with a lot of cast iron pans, it's hard to get real movement in your cooking as you're going.
Can't flip.
It doesn't have the right shape to it.
Yeah, and as you're stirring, you'll get pockets in the bottom corner that don't get mixed in with the food. That gets annoying. The other thing is my handles and so people say, well, it's not all one piece, so it's not as strong. It might as well be one piece because it's all the same material throughout. My rivets are the same material as my handles, are the same material as my pans, maybe just in different thicknesses. So my rivets have about 76,000 PSI tensile strength. That handle is not coming off. It is hot riveted on. My rivets are preheated, and then I used to bang them in by hand, but that was miserable with as many pans as I make. So I have a riveting press now that I built. That I can rivet goes in the pan goes on the press, handle goes in, and I smash that thing in there, and it's set in place with about 15 tons of pressure as it's hot, and so that's never coming out. And the rivets on the Vaquero line are low profile rivets on the inside, and so there's a lot of surface area on the underside of that rivet head that's engaging the material of the pan. So they hang on tight on both sides. And so there's no complaint for handle integrity like you see with a lot of modern pans where the rivets are aluminum. And so they expand and
and then they're
contract.
wobbly.
Yeah.
Fucking hand.
Yep.
Yeah.
Almost immediately.
Once you put heat on them.
Yeah, they expand and contract at a different rate, and so then things get loose. You know,
What's the cleaning like for cleaning your pan? Is it like cast iron where?
you just wipe it out.
You just wipe it. So it's not, you can't use soap and all that stuff.
No, you can use soap.
So the thing about soap with cast irons, because soap used to contain lye, and then modern soaps like to pull out oil, and so that's why they say not to use soap.
Oh, because it'll the protective
Right,
layer
it takes
will
your
pull it out.
seasoning out, right? But
Yeah.
you can still use soap on it. Throw a little seasoning in there, and you're golden.
Oh, okay.
You know, it's not like it's gonna ruin the pan.
I cook with my cookware, and I use soap on my pans.
Oh, okay.
A little soap's not going to hurt anything. And
Don't
then
put them in the dishwasher.
No.
No.
yeah, it's the drying cycle that'll kill them
Oh, okay.
because the water that's on there sits on there too long. If
And
you
they'll
throw it,
rust
if you throw it in the dishwasher, okay, put it on the stove to dry it off.
Oh,
Put it
okay.
in the oven to dry it off so that it off gases that water as quick as it can.
Oh, okay.
And then the difference between my pans and like a store-bought $10 pan is there's nothing in my pans that will give you brain cancer. There's nothing in my pans that will kill you because my pans are steel, avocado oil, and beeswax. That's it. Those are the only 3 ingredients in my pans.
badass.
There's no Teflon. There's no odd like enamelized coatings. If it's a regular enamel coating, that's pretty inert, but you can still break that coating, and then once that coating is broken, it's game over. You throw the pan away. But nothing is getting scraped off into your food. Like with you get a Teflon pan, and after a while, you start seeing that the coating is gone. Well, guess where that is?
Yep.
It's in your gut.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and so you don't get any of that. And then the other benefit that you have with my pans versus a $10 pan at the store, or even a $25, $30, $40 pan, is that thickness, that heat mass, gives you better performance. Because with a cheap pan, you got to crank the heat because that pan is losing as much heat as you're putting into it because it has low mass relative to its surface area. Whereas with my carbon steel pans, and even cast iron, this is what's made cast iron as popular as it is, you have more mass relative to the surface area than those cheap pans. The difference between where my pans are better than cast iron is that modern cast iron, some of the less expensive ones, the surface is like, it's just a sand casting. So it's just this rough, like the surface of Mars, which means they're hard to use. Your food is hanging up because there's a lot of mechanical grab. Whereas high-end cast iron, they machine them smooth, which is great, except that a smooth surface does not give your seasoning a mechanical grabbing point on the metal. So it's easy with a spatula, like a metal spatula, to just scrape a curl of that seasoning off all the way straight across your pan when your seasoning is new. So I micro-texture my pans so that you have microscopic, or more than that, I'm exaggerating, but you have very small
Something for
hills
the
and
seasoning
valleys.
to grab
Yeah.
onto.
So if you scrape the seasoning off the top of those hills, it's still in the
It's still in there.
valleys, so that you the seasoning is able to heal faster, so my pans don't get those kind of grievous injuries that you get with a lot of smooth, slick stuff.
So basically he said his pans are better because of thermodynamics and the laws of motion and stuff.
Oh, I missed all that?
You missed all that.
Son of a bitch.
Fuck, dude.
You're gonna have to go back and
I
watch
thought he was
this.
going to go grab his fucking
Yeah.
science coat.
Yeah.
But I guess
No,
not.
Very, very
All
in-depth.
right, so
You
where
missed-
can they find you?
So you can find me online, McMurryHandForged.com. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Facebook, all McMurry Hand Forged. And I'm located in Roberts, Idaho.
Spell McMurray.
McMurry.
Not AY.
Not AY.
Where can they go listen to you?
They can listen to me almost anywhere you can listen to a podcast. I'm not on YouTube for most of my podcasts, and I'm not on Apple, but just about everywhere else.
Or
It's Helm.
Spotify? Jeez, dude.
I'm on Spotify.
Where are you? Which ones are there? What other ones are there?
So they can find me on 2.
I'm actually on 13 different.
How can they
areas.
find you?
If you look up Helm Hunts, you should see us. Our logo just changed, so now it's a mountain range with Helm Hunts written on it.
Cool. So we're about to finish this off, guys. Clint, I know you got one of these.
Did you throw yours in the water and wish for something?
No, it's in my collection of other.
So
Other
there's a little
ephemera?
coin for being in our podcast.
Oh, very
that we
cool.
that we like to give to our guests.
Thank you.
It's hand forged
Is it hand
It's
forged?
no.
by young Chinese people.
Come on.
It was probably
God damn it,
it was
it's
probably made with slave labor, but you know,
It's okay.
most
That's
things
how we got
are.
it so cheap.
Oh, that's cool.
But
Thank
anyway,
you.
just
Who-
a little,
what is
a little
it,
thank you, a little thank you gift for being on. We're definitely going to do this again, and I was serious about going and forging some stuff
Yeah.
out in your
Yeah,
shop.
That'd be
come
really
out to the
cool.
shop.
We might maybe make some pans, but I want to maybe forge out a blade and grind it there, and we'll do some video and some.
He does teach classes, so
Yeah, I do teach blacksmithing classes, and
How about hand grinding knives?
I don't
Dude. We should go.
I have a knife making class, but we do more of the brute to forge knives, so less grinding because I want the class is aimed at more young people. So it's like I'm giving you the tools and experience you need to be able to forge a knife in your dad's garage. So you don't need.
We should do a
specialized
series
equipment
next
and that
year
kind of stuff.
where we go to because we've been invited to
Yeah, we're going.
We've
down
been
to
invited
Oregon.
to a couple of
Yeah, we've
forges,
been
yeah.
invited
To
to a couple
learn, yeah.
forges, and we're gonna.
see who teaches
But
better.
this one's close. This
and
one's close. We can run this one pretty much anytime.
We'll rate them. It'll be great.
We'll have a tier list.
Makes this competition real quick.
I'm gonna be like bottom tier. This guy's an asshole.
No.
But his pans are cool, so go buy some.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, everybody,
order
thank
one.
you guys so much for joining us, learning about pots and pans. And
Yeah,
oh,
that was
pans,
awesome. I think I'm
not
gonna order
pots.
one. So I might have it for my birthday.
No,
It's in
like,
about
I
a
was
month
throwing,
and a half
throwing
or
things
two.
in there. Hopefully we can forge out some pans and.
That'd be cool.
I'll do
Yeah,
that.
Yeah.
for real. I'm
You know,
interested.
I'm
I wanna
down
do
for that. But again, guys, thank you guys for being on.
Okay.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Mr. Clint,
This won't be the last. Clint, he's been on twice, and hopefully we have.
Yeah,
you on
I'm
again.
down. This was fun. I enjoyed this.
All right, appreciate it,
Hit that
guys.
top
Okay,
one.
we're
There you
out.
go.